how to stay intentional and how to stay connected even when you don't feel like it, or even when you have a really busy schedule.
And we're just picking at each other so often, and I'd feel so guilty.
I'm getting really exhausted with this, and I'm already doing a lot of things to help us out.
Yeah. And I guess you would call it like a snowball effect, but a bad snowball effect. It just felt like everything was getting worse and worse and worse.
I guess that's a homeschool family too, though.
Yeah, I guess so, but I just thought that was normal. I'm going to refer to another reel that I saw, but it's so good. What we realized and what I realized recently, we often talk about what are we doing today or what's happening next
Future plans
instead of talking about other things. Welcome back to the Honestly Us podcast.
Hey guys.
My name is Bridie.
And I'm Michael.
And we are a married couple. This is our third episode.
Yeah, episode 3.
And fun fact, we just turned on our mics. The last 2 episodes, we didn't even record on our mics. We were only recording through the computer, which is so silly. But
Bride's had a massive time or spent tons of time trying to edit the audio, and she was like, why is the audio so bad? Turns out we didn't turn the mics on properly.
Yeah, so dumb. Like, I was like, babe, we need to get some sort of preset because the audio is so bad and I'm struggling. And turns out the mics weren't even on.
Yep.
Yeah, we have our very third episode, and this is the episode where we're filming where it has been released and we have seen like people watch it and talk about it and some feedback, which is actually really cool. And like the responses,
really great.
The responses have been really nice.
Yeah, we've had tons of positive feedback and encouragement, which has been really cool.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for listening to our podcast and sharing and encouraging us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, actually, it's so nice. We thought we'd do like a little bit of something different before we start, like the actual like topic of the video. I don't know if anyone knows, or I think a lot of people know about the We're Not Really Strangers card game thing. It's like question cards. Michael and I do this like quite frequently on like dates and stuff like that.
Yeah, it keeps them very intentional.
Yeah, so it's like question cards to ask each other, and they're usually like different levels of like vulnerability, I guess.
Yeah. It helps when we can't think of any questions or like want to have a meaningful conversation, but don't or can't think of any questions to ask each other.
Yeah. So it's like really good to prompt us on dates and stuff. So there's like different boxes. We have the couples one though, and we also have like the original We're Not Really Strangers one. But we have the couples one here with us today. We thought we would read one out and pick one at random and answer it live on the podcast.
All right.
Are you just going to like pick one and then just go with that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I guess this is what we'll do. How has your definition of love changed over time, if at all?
My definition of love, oh gosh. I think like when I met you, I learned a lot more about love, and I think I learned that there's a lot more sides to love. I've always known the love of God, but I never knew like that I really, really have to like show love to my family. I think Michael really helped me to prioritize that and not just see my siblings as my siblings, but as like my family, and I need to show them love. I think.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think that is a perspective that I have changed on.
I think when I first met you, you didn't really have a family priority.
Like, no.
And
I think that's very Australian because like obviously if everyone doesn't know, Michael's got a Filipino background. And I know that like when I met Michael, I could see it so evidently in his culture.
Yeah. In a way, I would say like my family are kind of like my best friends.
Yeah, which is really sweet.
Whereas when I met Bridie, I guess she was still in a very teenagery stage.
Yeah, but I think the fact that you had your brothers as still your best friends when you were a teenager is like so wonderful.
Yeah.
And like have that mindset of like, I want to hang out with my siblings. But when I was a teenager, I was like, I want to hang out with my friends.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I found when I first met you.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a big perspective of change. But there's like so many things that I've learned about love.
That's true.
But also like I never knew like how I guess a male loves, because
yeah, that's true.
I didn't really grow up with a father in my house. Yeah, it's really nice to see that like you learnt a bit from like your parents and stuff, and you taught me that because I grew up with a mum and that's it.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, so it was really odd for me to, I don't know, hear some things from Michael. Okay, you want me to pick one out?
Yeah, if that's what you want to do.
Okay, maybe this one might be fitting with the video, so I picked this one. When was the last time I hurt you, perhaps unintentionally?
I don't know.
You don't know? You keep no record of wrongs.
It's a good question. Like, I don't think I feel hurt, but
No.
in relation to the video, like, not to the video, but to this podcast, I guess I don't know what I'm saying. Can I read the question?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I can't answer it.
Can't answer it? All right. Thought I'd get something juicy out of it. When do you think I'm at my best? Who am I with and what am I doing?
When do I think you're at your best?
Yeah.
I think I saw you at your best when you were speaking at Beach Mission.
Oh.
I think that was a great time when I saw you sharing and encouraging people and getting encouraged yourself. You were very confident. You were very vulnerable. You just had a setting and an environment where you could be sewing into people, but them also sewing back into you.
Yeah.
And I think that keeps you at your best.
Yeah, I would agree. Definitely. Yeah. That was a very high peak of my life.
I think that's something that like you're very passionate about.
Yeah. Yeah. And it says, who am I with? I guess it was like with people. Yeah.
I think when you're with other good, passionate people and people who are willing to be vulnerable, that's when you seem like you're at your best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Outside of that, I think more recently, you were more so at your best when Jessica lives with us.
Yeah.
I think you having your best friend and someone else who can support you
who can
really
support
helps.
Me. Yeah, like having someone else to talk to besides you.
Yeah.
I think that's very needed as a female too. Like,
definitely.
We love our girl chats and time to chat and have coffee type of feels. Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, I would agree. So these last couple of months, Michael and I have noticed that we have just like been a little bit more irritable and a little bit more annoyed at each other. And this is normal to happen in like a marriage where you go through like ups and downs and lows and highs in your marriage. But it's so important to stay to go up again and not stay in the valleys or the routines or habits of not staying connected.
Yeah, I think in this time, our relationship has been like up and down, but through it, we've definitely done intentional things to stay connected and not build any sort of like remorse or frustration or anything like that that we'll hold on to and like, I don't know.
Yeah,
like
and that's so
to
important.
Like sadness or lead to hatred or anything like that.
Yeah. Like we definitely don't want to hold a grudge against each other. But yeah, to kind of paint a picture of like how we've been doing and in our relationship and like what we've been dealing with each other. Obviously, like most of you know that we went through a miscarriage, but like after that we had a whole bunch of other things happen. And then it was almost like one after the other. I guess you would call it like a snowball effect, but a bad snowball effect. It just felt like everything was getting worse and worse and worse. And it was really affecting Michael and I, especially like because in amongst everything, we were getting sick so much as well. I know that like whenever you're sick, you're just not yourself and you just get so annoyed at each other. And to be honest, it felt like we have to keep like catching up on life. And all we were doing was just okay, we need to eat dinner, we need to make dinner, we need to tidy up.
We just went like fully back to the basics and it just felt like we could never actually get ahead.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was like a theme for us for maybe like 3 months.
Honestly.
It was just like, you know, like how you're treading water and then you're like just trying to keep yourself afloat.
Yeah.
But like if you just have a rest or something like that, just for a short amount of time, it feels like you'll just sink. And for us, it was like, wow, we're so exhausted and we're so like behind on all of these extra things that we have to catch up on.
Yeah.
That we were like.
And not only that, but even before the miscarriage, we were starting to like get behind on things because I was like getting quite dizzy and that was really affecting me like emotionally. And just like the fact that I was getting dizzy, I had to lay down and Michael had to just take over and like make dinner and wash the dishes. And Michael was like actually so kind and so helpful in those times. And then
thanks.
It's okay. And I really appreciated it, but I felt so guilty and so bad because I knew we would be getting behind in life.
Yeah. And Bridie's not used to having many like health things that have happened. She's lived a very healthy life. But yeah, like out of nowhere, she was very exhausted.
Yeah.
And on top of that, she started working a lot more. So she like got a lot more shifts at work, which meant that she wasn't job fit yet. And she wasn't like able to come home and be like, stay on top of the house.
Yeah.
Do all of those extra things that she thought like, that she needed to like make the house comfortable and a positive environment for her.
Yeah. And I think that really affected me too, like being in such a complicated season in our life and starting a job at the same time was just too much. And just got too much on both of us. And I think I started coming home and being like emotionally exhausted and done. Because like when you start a new job, you're working things out. You're learning a lot of things. Your brain's going a million miles per hour because you're learning so many new things. And
and disability support work is like a massive, like exhausting kind of job emotionally as well.
Yeah.
Just because you're working on connecting and building a relationship.
Yeah.
And like you're thinking about all of these strategies and ways to help someone.
Yeah. And while I love it and it's going really great, I think it was just bad timing for everything to line up. And so I noticed that like I'd be getting home and we'd have to get on top of things and because we had this new routine and I would just get irritated at the smallest things of Michael or like vice versa. And we're just picking at each other.
Yeah.
So often. And I'd feel so guilty. Like after saying something and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have said that. Like that would have really hurt him. And then you expressed that it hurt you. And then I'm just like, oh no.
Yeah. I think something that plays into that as well is like Bridie's someone that shares her emotions quite often. And that means she loves to like address a situation or like address something that's happening.
I love to justify.
Yes, and she'll love to justify. So like if I might have done something very simple, like not put my bag away or not do some random chore thing, Bridie will communicate it. And I think...
And I communicate it in a really nice way. But I think, I don't know, it's just getting complicated.
Yeah, I think like for me, I ended up losing a lot of patience because it was just like repetitive and like continuing on. And I was like, okay, I'm getting really exhausted with this and I'm already doing a lot of things to help us out.
Yeah.
And I think like for most men, when you're told you're not doing something right or you're not doing enough, it makes you feel a lot worse, and it can either lead to you getting angry or you getting frustrated. And I think I was like losing a lot of patience in that because I was like, I'm doing all of these things to help us out. Don't you see this? And then she was like saying all of these things because I guess in a way you were guilty that you couldn't do everything that you wanted to do to keep the house together and everything as well.
Yeah. I think everything just built up and just got too much. And to be honest, like, and this is what we're talking about today, I think a lot of it was because we weren't actually giving enough to each other. We weren't doing all the small things to help us feel connected.
Yeah.
And I think, to be honest, I think a lot of it was when we were sick. We couldn't really touch each other. We couldn't kiss. We couldn't, like, we felt too gross to even, like, show any sort of sign of love because you just are in this, like, horrible mood when you're sick.
Yeah. And I feel like everything becomes internal when you're sick. Like, you're like, you think to yourself, like, a lot, and you're like, oh, I'm hungry, I'm this, not like looking to the other person and how you can serve
that's
them.
So
and
true.
You're just like, oh, they're sick, I don't want to be around them. Like,
yeah, and then when we both got sick, it's just like, that is the worst because, like, you're both in the worst moods.
Yeah, and you're not doing all of the things that you usually would do. Like, I couldn't go to the gym, I couldn't play sport, I couldn't do all of my outlet usual things because I didn't feel like it or I didn't want to. Yeah. I couldn't, like, say, go to my men's group, or I couldn't, like, hang out with people and do all of those kind of things that usually help us a lot. Yeah, you kind of feel isolated.
Something that we have noticed recently is that, like, we needed to work on that. And so in my own brain, I have been kind of, like, trying, I don't know if you've noticed, I've been trying to do small intentional things that add up to be meaningful. And
and that's what today's podcast is kind of about, like how to stay intentional and how to stay connected even when you don't feel like it, or even when you have a really busy schedule and you both have busy schedules. It's about like how to still prioritize your marriage or your relationships, like whether it's a married relationship, whether it's like boyfriend and girlfriend, or whether it's like just with your family, like how to still not balance, but like how to still be intentional with the time that you do get.
Yeah. And I think while life feels kind of like a rat race sometimes, it is the most important thing is to show intentionality in some sort of ways. And I think people sometimes get stuck in the mindset that they don't have time, and they think of like the big things, like I don't have time to take them out on a date, or I don't have time to like get a nice big present put together or something like that. But it's not always about that. Most of the time, a thriving marriage is all about the smallest things. And I guess I could share like a few small things that I like to do that I guess, and I hope makes you feel loved.
Yeah.
That helps our marriage. I didn't write everything down, but I wrote some things down. Something I've noticed recently is that I've been not as present in conversations, in even like watching movies, or just my brain's just constantly going. And I've been trying to be more present. I've been trying to not use my phone as much so that my mind has time to think through my thoughts and to sort through thoughts, even though sometimes that can be scary for people to actually sort their thoughts out. But we tend to gravitate to distraction all the time. And I think it's so important to let our thoughts process, especially like in the shower. Like it's so easy to turn music on, or to listen to a podcast, or even watch a video or whatever, to have some sort of sound. I've noticed recently that like it's been so great for me to just kind of switch off and be in my own thoughts. And that's when I hear God more. That is when I hear my own thoughts more. That's when I think about intentional things that I can do to help our marriage. And I noticed that because I was filling my brain with like external things all the time, while it's fine to do that occasionally, but if you're constantly filling your mind all the time and not having just silence, you're never going to hear God, and you're never going to think of how you can please your spouse. So that was a big wake up call for me, because I was like, wow, I really need to work on that. So something that I noticed is I really wanted to be more present with hearing what you're saying when you bring up something. It may seem like a small thing, but I know it makes a big impact to you if I'm really engaged in what you're saying. Maybe it's about like you playing volleyball or something like that, like really hearing what you're saying and acknowledging it and asking questions. I think that I've noticed that like really has like a little spark in your eye when you feel like I'm really intentionally interested in you.
I think I've noticed that over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And you're not like caring as much about like what I'm talking about, like if it's volleyball or if it's like school or something like that, but more just being there to listen and ask questions and show that you're really interested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think also like I've been trying to look into your eyes a bit more no, it's important. While we have a conversation and not just like, I don't know. I tried that and I was like, oh, he really likes that. And I tested it out and I realized the attention that it gave you and you really thrived in that.
Yeah.
And actually from that, I know it sounds like you're my test subject or something, but from that, I noticed that you were loving towards me. You gave me more cuddles after I did that.
So you got rewarded in the end.
I did get rewarded. I got some like sweet little kisses on the cheeks after that. And you didn't know that I was thinking about this. Sorry, the video just closed. But yeah, I intentionally tried that because I was like, I have been such a bad wife in that area and I've noticed that. And so, yeah, I thought it was really sweet, the reaction and response that in return actually helped me as well. So it actually helped us as a marriage. And then following from then, especially if I kept, if I didn't like sabotage it and bring up something or say something to hurt you in a way, it actually continued on and we ended up having a really nice time and really nice night. Yeah. So that's something that I have been thinking about and putting more value into and realizing it's down to back to the basics and connecting.
Yeah. You always appreciate it when I look into your eyes.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm communicating with you.
Yeah.
And listening to some sort of story or something that you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes you feel loved.
It does, definitely.
Yep.
Something else that I think is really important is this is something I've been doing for a long time. I made the intentional choice to do this when we first got married. I wanted to greet you when you came home from work. This was in COVID time where I wasn't really working that much. And so Michael would come home and I would be home already. And I would make sure that I was ready to greet him at the door and give him a hug and look at him and be intentional in greeting him.
It makes like the environment when you come home from work or when you come home from somewhere so much more nicer.
Yeah.
So like you're almost ready to be at peace or ready to relax when you get home.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we do this for each other.
We do.
Like when you come home, I usually am there ready to say hi.
I really appreciate that. And also Miles gets in on that.
And it really helps having a dog. They're always there waiting for you.
Although I feel like Miles takes the attention these days.
He does. He's there first.
Yes, he is. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's something we both do for each other. Yeah, which I think is a small thing, but it means a lot.
Yeah. One thing as well, another thing that I think makes a big difference, and we talk about this all the time. When we first got married, Bridie was like, oh, I feel like I'm not spending as much time, or at least intentional time, with Michael, and I was the same. And just because of the work schedule, it can get really hectic and busy. And we're lucky enough for us to be able to have a similar enough schedule. So when we wake up in the morning, we're actually able to have breakfast together. So we will go to sleep at the same time.
Yeah.
We have an intentional bit of pillow talk before we go to sleep. So like our schedule will be like get ready for bed at 9, in bed by 9:30, and then have at least about half an hour to like have no phones, uninterrupted conversation, and just be able to talk and reflect. Or even sometimes we'll just read the Bible or pray or do anything like that.
Well, no, not really recently, but
we haven't been doing that recently.
That is something that we really want to do. We've been talking about praying intentionally together and how that would affect other people's lives by praying for people and being intentional in prayer.
Yeah.
And
we do spend
with each other.
Yeah, we do spend that half an hour at least where we just have no technology or nothing and we just talk to each other.
I bought an alarm clock for this very reason so that we could not have our phones, but I have not set up the alarm clock yet. So we still have our phones on our bedside table, but we don't, like, as soon as the other person enters the room, or we put our phone down and we don't stay on our phone, just to show that attention's on them and this is our time together.
Yeah.
I really, really want to get rid of the phones out of the room completely because I just think it should be a no phone space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when we wake up, we'll have a little bit of extra time and we will, Bridie will make breakfast. So Bridie will make me breakfast. She had the time, especially early on, and she still does it now, even when she's working. She'll wake up a bit earlier, make breakfast, and then when I'm ready, we'll have breakfast together and we'll just pray for the day.
At the same time, but it's way earlier for my schedule than his. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then she just sacrifices a bit of that, which, it's an act of service and it means a lot. And it just means that we're able to like start our days with each other, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because like I remember when we first got married, I think I was talking to someone at my work when I was working at Cotton On, and I was like, oh, it's so annoying. Like I barely see Michael now that we're married and he's working full time and stuff like that. She was like, why don't you like wake up and have breakfast with each other? And I was like, that is so smart. And I took that on and we're doing it till now. So if you're listening, thank you for saying that.
Yeah. And I think like, even for my family, like I wish when I was still with my family, like, and living with my family, we had breakfast together more and we had dinner and meals together more, because I think those kind of things is like what I remember and what I miss a lot of. Like just being able to sit down, like it'd be great if I could do the rule with, because like we didn't have dinner with our parents often because they'd have
different
hectic schedules.
Yeah.
Like when it's siblings together, like some of them might be on technology and whatever. But I wish that we just sat there and then just like talked about each other's day and got to know each other even more.
Yeah. I'm actually shocked how many families don't do that, because I grew up in the opposite environment where we always sat together and had dinner together. And even when we had lunch, we'd kind of have it at the same time.
Yeah. And breakfast and most of your meals you would have together.
Yeah.
I guess that's a homeschool family too, though.
Yeah, I guess so. But I just thought that was normal. I think mum really enforced that because like it's very biblical to have a meal over a table. Like Jesus did that so many times in the Bible with the disciples. And
yeah. I think sharing meals together builds a lot of connection.
It does. I think it's very important. I think it's also very important for children growing up as well. Like they need that family time and intention. I found this video I think yesterday, and I thought this was like so cool to hear these facts. I think he is a doctor and his name's Robert, but I don't know his last name. He made a reel and he was talking about the importance of hugs, and he said that you need 8 hugs a day for survival. 8 hugs a day for survival. Are you getting 8 hugs a day? Sounds like an ad.
Yeah, I get 8 hugs from Miles every day, at least.
He actually said at the end of the video that you can get a hug from a pet and it counts.
Yep, there you go.
Isn't that crazy?
Miles is carrying us.
Yeah. No, I hug you so much.
You do.
Although I did test that recently, not unintentionally, but I noticed it after I listened to this reel. We weren't hugging as much, and then suddenly like we were hugging more, and I feel like that really like got us to connect more recently, like in this past week.
Yep.
Yeah, I've noticed that. But so it says 8 hugs a day for survival. We need 4 hugs no, I wrote that wrong. Okay, so you need 8 hugs a day for maintenance. We need 4 hugs a day for survival, which is crazy. We need 12 hugs a day for growth. Then he says they strengthen our immune system. They increase your feelings of safety and belonging. And they boost the hormone oxytocin, which is the love hormone. Oxytocin heals feelings of loneliness, isolation, and anger. which is crazy. I'm getting 12 hugs a day for growth. I want to grow. But yeah, it's actually crazy that like you need 4 hugs a day for survival and then 8 for maintenance.
Yeah.
That's just wild to me. Go hug your mum, sister, brother, dog, cat.
Where's Miles?
Where's Miles? He's outside the door.
It's great. It's really good because we've trained Miles to cuddle us on cue. So
yeah,
like if we say cuddle to Miles, he'll come up to us and he'll give us a cuddle.
Yeah.
And he'll like press his head into us.
It's so cute. And like he'll do it before we go to bed. So he goes to bed in a crate and that's his like bed. And we'll say good night. And then he'll come cuddle me, press his head against me. And then he'll go to Michael, press his head against Michael. And then he'll take himself to bed. And then we like shut the door on the crate. But recently he's been a bit naughty and like he's been like psych and then sprints.
Yeah. He's like, it's not my bedtime yet.
Yeah. But it's pretty funny.
We, and I think every relationship kind of should do this, whether it's like friends, family, obviously like a romantic relationship as well. I think for us, we were very intentional early on about having date nights. And having an intentional date. And we've been doing this, I think, for what, 4 years now?
Like since we got married?
Yeah, pretty much since we got married, we have a date night.
Yeah.
It always
every
adapts.
Week. But sometimes it gets taken over, but we make sure to bring it back pretty quickly.
Yeah. Like I think it's adapted over time and we like refine it and we talk about like how we can make it more intentional and how we can make it maybe like fit into our schedules and things like that a bit better. But yeah, every Friday we'll spend intentional time together and we will at least go out for dinner or do something like that together. When we have a bit more time, we'll organize something really special. And I think like just for connection for us, it gives us an opportunity to like be out of the home, not just like watching TV or watching a movie, but be like in another environment where we can just be focused on each other. One thing we do is we try to leave our phones in the car or like we'll leave it in a bag or something like that. And just ask a question or just like talk to each other about our week and how we're going. One thing we do often is just like rate each area of our lives.
Yeah. Like, what's that called? The something circle.
I don't know.
Emotional like circle.
Yeah. There's like maybe
chart emotional
8 categories on it. And it talks about like finances, romance, family. We talk about like how we're feeling with God. We talk about how we're feeling with a range of different things like career, health, all of those things. And we give ourselves a rating out of 10 for each of those areas. Yeah, sometimes ours don't match up. And like I might say, give myself an 8 for health and Bridie might be like, I've been feeling really unhealthy recently. So I'll give myself like a 4 or a 5. And we'll be able to communicate and talk about like all of those areas that are actually important. And
I've really enjoyed that. I think we actually got it from our counselor. We did counseling quite a few times, but I think mostly in 2021. Did we do it in 2020?
I don't think so. Maybe you started in 2020.
Yeah. Well, we've done it for a couple years, and recently I've only gone once this year, the beginning of the year. Our counselor showed us this wheel, and basically as you rate it, you put like the 1 to 10 and you rate it in the category and then you join the numbers up. And if it forms a complete circle, that means like your life's pretty well balanced, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
But if there's like dents in the circle because like you went from 10 to a 1, like, or 10 to a 4, then you're like, okay, how can we make this like a round circle?
Yeah. The idea is that like, you might have not every area balanced, but your wheels should still roll.
Yeah.
If your wheel is like...
So you could be all 7s and you've got a pretty well balanced like circle.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so the idea is like say like you're doing quite well in finance. this is what she gave an example of. You're doing quite well in finance, but your emotional mental health isn't doing well. So then you take from finance and you go, okay, I'm going to get counseling. And so then your emotional health will go up. And so then it becomes like a round circle. That's the example.
Yeah. Well, other than that, this is the other thing that I had prepared. And I think this relates to pretty much every relationship. So like romantic relationship, friends, family, things like that as well. I saw this video a while ago. It's from this guy who is an author. He said there's kind of like, these are his 4 things for like his ladder of connection. This is from Jay Shetty. I haven't read any of his books or anything like that, but I've seen a video and I related to like what he said to build connection with someone. And like he particularly talked about it in a romantic setting, but I think it could apply to anyone if you're trying to like build connection with them. And he said the lowest thing on the ladder is spending time watching or in entertainment with people. So yes, you can build connection through entertainment. So like say Bridie and I watching a movie and things like that, but we're not being really vulnerable with each other. And we might have a conversation about... And we're not even
looking at each other too.
Yeah, like we might have some physical touch. We might talk a little bit about the show or something like that after we watch it, but it's not the best way to connect with each other. It is one area of it. And I think for most people and most Australian people, like that's the area they spend
like the primary.
all their time in.
Yeah.
And I think like we've kind of fell into that a little bit, but we still do lots of other things to build connection as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, entertainment, like watching movies, watching shows, even like playing a game or something like that together would fall into that category. The next section is experiences. And in your experience, it's about like doing something new for both of you. So it's great for me to go to a basketball game or something with Bridie, but he explained it like this, like, yes, that's a great experience together, but it makes it seem like I'm the expert and she's the apprentice or the novice. So she's learning from me. So so it's a great thing to build connection, but it's really good and even better to do things that you've never done.
Like
so that
both of you have never done.
That both of you have never done. So then you're both inexperienced at it. And so you're both doing a shared learning experience together.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel intimidating or it doesn't feel like difficult or anything like that for the other person.
Yeah.
But you're actually both being very vulnerable together.
That's true.
Because you're open to like all the new emotions and experiences of it. So like, for example, if we did high ropes or something like that together for the first time, we could both experience the nervousness together.
Yeah.
Of like being up in the air or like jumping from something. Whereas like if Bridie was an expert at it, I would be like all nervous and yeah, it might not be the best experience. But I think also in
like a romantic relationship, it is a good idea.
Oh yeah.
In a sense, because then you can help them. Like our first date was ice skating.
Yeah, and I was completely terrible at it. And I still am.
I had to help you.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's really good. That's actually very interesting that both doing something new.
Doing something completely new, yeah.
And is that the experience category?
Yep, that's the experience category.
Right.
So none of these are at all bad things to do. The next thing that they talk about, so like the four main things to build connection is education. So learning something together. So a language, an instrument, listening to podcasts or even learning about God.
I love listening to the same podcasts.
Yeah.
And then talking about it after.
Yep.
Is that in entertainment? No.
This is in education, yeah.
No, but what I'm saying is that technically the entertainment category, listening to a podcast together? But I don't think it is because you learn from podcasts.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what podcast it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, so learning something together is educational and it gives you a shared knowledge on something. You can add perspective to each other and build on that as well. And the last one and the highest one that he talks about is serving together. So serving in the community or serving in church for us. That's why when we do beach mission together, we leave so connected because we've done something together where we feel like, and what he recommends is that you're like doing something where you can say serve and improve the world or improve the community or do something where you feel like you're making a difference. And I think from our experience, that's when we felt the most close.
Yes.
No, we don't necessarily get as much time together when we serve. And I think having time and balancing time is still a very important thing.
But after the fact, we feel so close because like we've gone through that experience.
You feel
together.
accomplished. Like you feel like you've done something to help someone else, but also you feel like you can share all of these cool experiences and stories and everything like that.
Mission trips would be like phenomenal because like you're going to another country.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
And
but even like I think when we serve together by hosting people over for dinner and doing things like that where we can
that's true.
Like help someone or connect with other people and things like that. We feel even more connected because we feel like we're on a team and in a team.
Yes.
Encouraging and making a meal and talking and
like even mentoring a younger couple if you're an older couple. That's great to serve together.
Like there's tons of like non-Christian and Christian ways that you can serve as well.
I guess like a homeless shelter. We've done that before. Yeah. We went to a homeless shelter and we served them food.
Yep.
That was really cool.
Yeah, things like that.
We haven't done that while being married, just like we were dating then.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was cool.
Yeah.
Spending time with the Lord and reading your Bible and really investing time each day is like one of the most number one things that is going to help your life overall, but also like your marriage, helping you guys to connect. You're in this state of like you're learning about being selfless, I guess. You're learning about what God wants for you, what his plan is for you. That is like the biggest priority for marriage. For sure. And it's the biggest thing we always give an excuse about.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely guilty for that.
Yeah.
That's what helps us.
We can tell for sure when we haven't had time with God.
Yeah.
And usually it's when our schedule and our routine is completely different.
Like honestly, holidays, school holidays,
school holidays. Yep. It's so hard because normally we have a routine of spending time with God in the morning together. Well, not together, but separately.
Separately, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'll go outside with Miles and read my Bible while he's going to the toilet and running around.
Yeah.
But I honestly like that just the holidays wrecked me, but yeah.
Yeah, but each morning we'll start our day in prayer or in reading the Bible. Food. Yep. Like by ourselves.
Oh, right, right.
And every day.
Not every day. Sound like we're these amazing people that do that every day.
And well, in the school routine, every day I'll listen to worship music on the drive to work.
Yeah, you do.
And I'll pray in the car and I'll pray and be intentional about family, school, work, all of those things.
Yeah, that's true.
But on the school holidays, I don't have that routine and it makes it really hard.
Yeah.
But like, how do you think it impacts our relationship?
I think like you're impacted by the Lord and by scripture just overall, and you want to be a better person like whenever you spend time with God. Yeah. It just naturally happens.
Yep. I think
but
your perspective gets realigned each morning.
Yes, definitely.
I think you can very easily like refocus your life internally and focus on yourself and your own goals and things like that. But when you when you start the day with prayer and reading, you actually realign like your goals and what you're trying to do and be like, oh, actually I'm living my life for God, not for myself.
Yes, that's so true. It's what's the word? Convicting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna refer to another reel that I saw, but it's so good. Okay, so it says, I recently heard of a scientific study of what actually happens to you when you read the Bible. This study was done on people age 8 to 80. On the days 1 and 2, there wasn't much of a difference, but on the day 3, they started noticing a change. Here are the stats of what actually happened when people read the Bible 4 times a week or more. Loneliness went down 30%. Bitterness went down 43%. Anger went down 32%. Alcoholism went down 40%. That is actually insane.
Mm.
Like the fact that they did a study on like how God's word literally changes your life just by reading it, like reading the Bible more than 4 times a week.
Yeah.
4 times or more than 4 times. That's just crazy.
Mm.
From this chat, Michael and I are going to work on our relationship even more, aren't we?
We are.
We're going to connect more and hug each other more and look into each other's eyes more. I'm loving this.
This is hilarious.
And pay attention to what we're saying to each other in conversation and really acknowledging each other.
Yeah, and do new experiences together and
honestly,
educate.
Oh yes, all those things.
And also serve together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess it's not like a ticking of the list sort of situation, but it's definitely great to like be mindful of all those things. And sometimes you do need a list because you just might not remember.
Yep.
It's a good reminder. Yeah, I have to say though, this year has been my favorite year with you.
Yeah, I think every year that we've been married has been even better.
Yeah, I think like we've had way more patience with each other before this last month or so, last 2 months. We've had way more patience with each other. We've really prioritized connecting with each other.
I think our communication has improved so much.
I think we've laughed more as well. We've laughed more with each other.
Yeah.
I think we're just more so enjoying life. We're connected into life groups. We're not like isolating ourselves just to each other. We're, we're spending time with family.
Yep.
So I think overall, all of those things has helped us to feel connected.
And I think one other thing, like to add one more thing, that has really helped us as well is actually like scheduling in time to be intentional and scheduling in time to have chats about things. So like we schedule in our date night.
Yeah.
But scheduling in like times where we can organize our lives.
Are you talking about my charts?
Yep.
I'm so proud of my charts.
Like us having our charts means that we're not always talking about what we're doing tomorrow.
Yes.
Or what we're doing next week, this day. And
honestly, the charts have been game changing. And I guess I really want to share more about them because they've just been game changing for us. Maybe I should sell them. So I custom designed quite a few charts for different categories in our life. And we have one of them, which is like our weekly planner. And there's different categories in it. Every Monday or Tuesday, we have been filling them out and it gives us a time to communicate things that are happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically just to communicate about life's logistics.
Yeah. It's been really good.
And I didn't think Michael would take it on well.
It took a while, but
now you actually really like it. Yeah, except for we haven't been doing it recently. Well, I've been doing it, but you haven't been doing it recently.
Yeah.
Because of what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
But
we could talk about it in another podcast.
I know, but it's just been game changing for us.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to tell them your point. Your point is that the reason why these charts have been great is because we get on board everything that is happening in the week. So our conversations don't revolve around just talking about what's happening next.
Me asking you, what are we doing this day?
Yeah. I think what we realized and what I realized recently is we often talk about what are we doing today or what's happening next, things like that. Future plans, instead of talking about other things. Yeah. The present, just fun conversations and topics and
Anyway, thanks so much for listening, guys.
Yeah.
We really appreciate all the support that we've got so far.
I know. I feel so blessed with all the messages.
Yeah, and we hope that you got something from this.
Yeah.
Whether it's like from a romantic relationship with your friends or with family.
Also, what helps a podcast to grow?
Giving it a rating.
It's so easy to, like, I didn't know this, but you don't even have to write something. You can write something as well, like write something nice.
Yeah, we'd love to answer some questions as well.
No, what I'm saying is you can write a review, but you actually don't have to write a review if you don't want to. You could just like rate the podcast, like rate it 5 stars and leave it at that.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, you don't actually have to write anything. So that would actually really help us to get our rating up. Also, writing reviews is nice. And I think they did say that helping a podcast to thrive is also writing comments or questions down below. There is a comment section, which I had no idea about.
On Spotify.
Yeah.
Love to answer some questions that you ask, though.
Yeah, actually, that'd be so cool. If someone has a question, write it down below and we can answer it on the next podcast.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Thanks for supporting us. We're so excited on our new journey of doing these podcasts together.
Yeah.
Actually, like becoming one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it for episode 3, guys.
Yes.
See you in the next one.
See ya. Bye.